ECU?
Do you bleed purple and gold?
Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors. It is a Monday. It is the Action Monday because we're reacting to where ECU's going bowling. They're going back to the Military Bowl for the second consecutive year. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the college football playoff bracket. As always, there's always controversy. And I tweeted this yesterday, but it really should always be a day of celebration with the playoff reveal and bowl season. You're learning where you're going instead of just into a cesspool of complaining and whining. And I get it. There's a lot of flaws in the system. Many of them get exposed on a day like Sunday. We'll get into that and a whole lot more, but we'll talk primarily close to home to begin with. Again, ECU going to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers for the first time since the 1992 season in football in the Military Bowl. Second straight year going to Annapolis. Stephen Igo here. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it there. Over the course of the next hour, are you going back to Annapolis for a second straight year? Let us know. I know a lot of my friends were on the fence, but then once the game was announced, they went ahead and bought their tickets or bought lodging, all that good stuff. So we'll see where everybody stands on that front. We'll also get into the latest on the John David Baker front, ECU offensive coordinator being courted by other schools as well. So a lot to talk about on this Monday. Philip Pilkington, he is behind the glass. He is producing inside the 94.3 The Game studios. We just left the press conference with John Gilbert, with Blake Harrell talking about the bowl game. I thought John Gilbert made a very interesting point we'll get into as well about the calendar. But Philip, are you excited about another Military Bowl appearance for the Pirates?
I'm excited that the Military Bowl views East Carolina as high as they do. You know, they're very high up in the pecking order. It's an honor to, for the third time in 5 years, be selected by one of the top bowls in which your conference has a tie-in. That's great. It shows the state of the program. It shows the job that our administration's done. It's a credit to the fan base and how they travel for bowl games. As for the Military Bowl specifically, I thought it would have been kind of cool to go to the bowl in Charlotte. You know, it would have changed it up. Now, obviously, for our student athletes, there's less to do in Charlotte than there is in our nation's capital, of course. But I think it would have been cool if we would have been able to draw an in-state opponent such as Wake or Duke there in Charlotte. Also, we were kind of talking about this earlier, Stephen. The 27th is kind of a weird date, right? A lot of people still are celebrating the holiday season on the 26th. I know it's something your family does. I think a lot of other families too, 24, 25, 26. And it's a little tough when it's that close to Christmas. Can make it tough, but the nice thing is a lot of people probably will be able to get Friday off and travel up and still travel back Sunday or even Saturday after the game. So from a logistics standpoint, there are pros, there are cons. It is what it is, but I'm glad to be playing another ACC opponent. I would much rather go to the Military again and play a Power 5 opponent than to go to another bowl game like the Myrtle Beach Bowl, where you're playing some team where you are in a much better conference and you feel like it could be a cakewalk opportunity. This is a big opportunity for our program to go out there and have another opportunity to beat what is a pretty solid football team.
That's what I was going to say as well. Unfortunately, with the way college football is going, you're just going to have less and less of these opportunities against ACC schools. I even heard there was some trepidation on the part of some other potential teams in the Military Bowl. Like, I don't think Wake or Duke wanted to play in the Military Bowl because they would have had to face East Carolina. So I heard some mixed reporting there. I don't know what exactly is accurate there. Obviously, if you're Duke, you're the ACC champion. Do you really want to go play East Carolina, an in-state school in a perceived lesser conference, and lose? Probably not. So where are they going? The Sun Bowl? Duke?
Yeah, going back to the Sun Bowl since first time since 2014 they've played there. And nobody wants to be going to El Paso, Texas, man. It is cold. It is dry. I remember the last time they played there, I had a buddy, his brother was on the team, and he said it was like in the 20s, 15-mile-an-hour winds, like less than 5% humidity, and his skin was just like dried and cracking, and like the wind was just like cutting through his jacket. Said it was terrible. So the scenery's
I thought
cool.
El Paso was supposed to be kind of warm. Like you're down there close to the border.
No, but you're in the middle of the desert, so it's really hot in the summertime, and then in the winter it's just cold, and like you're in this like valley. So there's mountains all around the stadium. It's a really cool view, but like to the south, the mountains are Mexico. To the west, they're New Mexico. To the north and the east, it's Texas, and it's just like frigid, cold desert. There's nothing to block the wind because there's no trees. There's some cacti out there. That's about it. And I heard it's just like a slummy town.
Just cacti and the Sun Bowl, and that's what you get. So, yeah, Duke's heading there, and I don't know. I mean, ECU Pitt is not the sexiest matchup, but at the same time, like I think as we get closer to the game, I do think, look, it's December 8th. The game is December 27th. We have 19 more days until the game. I think as we get like another week into it, people start to realize, all right, like this is kind of a cool matchup, at least from an ECU perspective. We can talk about the Pitt angle. A lot of their fans upset for various reasons. But from the ECU side, like you're not going to get the chance with the way college football is going to take on but so many of these teams. And in this sense, it's a winnable game. It's something to, it's a carrot at the end of the season, a chance again to take down an ACC opponent, to a team that was one win, a couple tiebreakers away from maybe going to the ACC title game as well. So Pittsburgh, very good, very good. When they show up, you look at some of their good wins this year. Watched a lot of that game when they went to Georgia Tech, took it to them. So a lot of it in these bowl games will depend on motivation. But very good team, young freshman quarterback. Heinschel, when they put him in early in the season, their team kind of really took off. So they've got talent, and we'll see how it unfolds. But Pittsburgh, I know you've watched some ACC football. Philip, just initial thoughts. We haven't really dove into the personnel quite yet. We'll do that more in the coming weeks. But when you think about Pittsburgh, kind of the season they've had, weird season, they kind of had a chance to make a run at the ACC until losing to Miami. Obviously got smoked by Notre Dame in a game that Pat Narduzzi said didn't really matter. They also lost to Louisville and lost to West Virginia, which was a bad loss, but a rivalry game. So I don't know if you watched much Pitt this year.
Yeah, I've watched them some. Backyard brawl didn't obviously go their way. They lost to a really bad West Virginia team, the bottom of the Big 12 barrel. But, the thing is with Pitt, man, I think they maybe haven't had the quarterback play that they've had for the better part of the last decade. But this is a solid football team. I think I can't remember if it was John that hit on it earlier, if it was Blake hitting on the fact that, if the tiebreakers are done a little different, they would be playing for an ACC title. And now, look, I don't think there's really cream of the crop teams in the ACC right now. I do think that Miami's a solid program, who they obviously lost to, but they are a good team. I think they're, one of those teams that's probably sitting somewhere around 25 to 30 when you just look at true, strength of their roster, best as far as 25th to 30th best team in the country, and they're coached well. They do a lot of things well. They're disciplined up front. I think a lot of it just comes down to the skill set, and unfortunately this year they have struggled to beat really, really good teams. Now, with the exception of West Virginia, they have handled business in every game in which they're supposed to handle business because they don't shoot themselves in the foot. We're going to have Mark Miller on, I'm sure, at some point, whether it be this, the pregame show, PJ show, something to talk about it. Obviously, he's a Pitt grad, watches all the Pitt games.
Have him on every day.
There we go. And he's obviously lives here now, big ECU fan. Check him out on 107.9 on the Morning Rush. But, this is... this is a great opportunity for ECU to play a team like this, and I'm excited to play Pitt. Like I said, I don't know everything about them, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I do, but from what I've seen, because I have watched a handful of the games just here and there sporadically throughout the year, this is a good football team, and this is a good opportunity for us.
2 8-4 teams and 2 teams that went 6-2 in their respective conferences. Again, they did smash Duquesne 61-9 in an FCS game to start the year, beat Central Michigan 45-17. Lost in Morgantown, 31-24 to the Mountaineers. Lost at home by a touchdown to Louisville. Beat Boston College 48-7 in Pittsburgh. Beat Florida State on the road 34-31. Beat Syracuse on the road 30-13. Crushed NC State 53-34. Put it on Stanford 35-20 on the road. And then again, lost to Notre Dame 37-15. Game wasn't really even that close. Georgia Tech, really their noteworthy win, went on the road to Atlanta, won 42-28. Game wasn't really that close for a lot of it, too. And then had a chance against Miami, got crushed, though, 38-7 in the finale. So we'll see again. At this time, I know we got a question about any portal entries from Bob Gagnon and any announcements for either side. Last night, Pat Narduzzi on the Bowl conference call said he anticipates having his full roster, but a lot of time between now and then. He basically said, as of now, doesn't expect any opt-outs, but they have some NFL potential guys, and obviously we'll see what happens. Blake Harrell today at his press conference, he was asked, do you anticipate any opt-outs, any changes? How do you handle that? He did say, as of this morning, with the practice, they practiced this morning, he had the full roster on the field. So, again, things can change. It's December 8th. We're 19 days, but the portal does not open until January 2nd. What can happen is guys, as you've seen across the country, can announce they are going to enter the portal. And also, if you have a coaching change with your head coach, you can go ahead and enter the portal. But for an ECU player to enter the portal, they would have to wait till January 2nd. Now, that does not mean they could, we saw Winston Wright last year opt out of the bowl game, basically to be an undrafted free agent in the NFL. So guys will still make their own decisions and what they feel is their best interest. And I do know Winston Wright, by this time, he had already made that decision and wasn't practicing for the bowl game. So I would assume if you're practicing today, Phillip, you're probably going to play. Now, John David Baker, we can get into that in a second. It's kind of a different situation, but if you're a player and you're practicing right now, and also Blake made the mention, 30 seniors on this team, I think, maybe you end up having a guy or two opt out, but I think for the most part, you're going to have a pretty complete ECU team at least.
That was what I was going to bring up right there, Stephen, was the 30 seniors. These 30 seniors are going to play. And one of the great things that you have about this situation, we obviously don't know what the future is for JDB, don't know the future for Kate, and Mike Wright's going to play. And if Mike Wright has to play offense, defense, and special teams, if we've only got 11 guys, heck, if we've got 18 guys and he's got to play both sides of the ball and special teams the whole game, Mike Wright will make sure that there are people playing in this bowl game because he'll fill in for whoever he's got to fill in for. So first and foremost, we've got that. But no, I think, there are a lot of young men that are definitely bought into this program. You even think of some of the younger guys. Could they leave? Yeah, sure. But there's a lot of guys, I think, too, who really enjoy it here, who are really fond of their position coaches, especially if it's a position coach that's probably not going to leave. Example, like a Roy Tesh kind of deal. Just think a lot of those guys are going to stay. They're going to hang around. So I would expect most of the starters to play. Like you said, if they're at practice today, they're probably going to play. Now, if they've got a big-time agent and the agent gets in their ear, that could be different. But also, we are at East Carolina. We're not at, insert SEC school here where every single player on your roster's got some big-name agent. So, a lot of those young men, you hope they'll play. And look, it's your last opportunity to go put something on tape if you do decide to enter the portal as to what you can do and do it against a team, especially if you're looking to move up. This is going to be your competition, next season.
Yeah, a chance to make a statement, put out film, all that good stuff. So I just don't know, what good it would do to opt out unless you're just trying to completely avoid injury and you already have another spot locked up. So I don't know. I'd be surprised, although I would not have expected Winston Wright to opt out as a projected undrafted free agent last year. So nothing will shock me. I'm not necessarily anticipating things. Looking at ECU's 30 seniors, I don't think any of them are really projected draft picks. So I would expect them to play, but again, we'll see. All right, John David Baker. Now, we've been following this on hoistedcolors.net. I'll use this opportunity once again to plug 50% off special running now. Got full reports up. We had a Friday report. We had a Friday afternoon report. We had a Sunday evening report. We also got the Hoisted Colors VIP chat going on now. So I get the full information there for our VIP subscribers. But I will say, did interview for Virginia Tech per my sources and is going to interview for another job today, I was told. So uncertainty there, which creates uncertainty within ECU's offense, and we'll see how it unfolds. Has not been offered, has not accepted anything at this time, and there's very much a possibility he comes back to ECU. So it's a distraction, no doubt about it, from the standpoint of if you're ECU, you're trying to get ready for the bowl game. He may or may not be at practice today, this morning. I've heard he wasn't, but it couldn't confirm it. We were not at practice, but one of those things that obviously it's kind of it's just a situation you got to deal with. We'll get more into the comments that John Gilbert made, which I thought was a great point about the calendar is the issue right now, not necessarily the bowl games or the player acquisition, all that stuff, but this is just a byproduct of the system. And you've got players looking at their next destination before bowl games. Unfortunately, coaches have to do the same, and we're just going to have to continue to see how it unfolds. But, as of today, John David Baker is still ECU's offensive coordinator. And, again, we have more coverage for you online, hoistthecolors.net. And if we get any more info, we'll bring it to you. But we're all just kind of in a wait-and-see mode from my understanding right now, depending on what happens with his other opportunities. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We got several comments we'll get to in the chat. We will run through some of those. Philip and I will also give our take on the college football playoff. That 12-team bracket unveiled, and I do want to expand upon John Gilbert's comments. I thought very interesting how maybe we can make this work a little bit better with player acquisition, moving the transfer portal to March. We'll get into that more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Reaction Monday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Colors here. It is a Reaction Monday on HTC. A lot of stuff to react to. We'll get to some of your comments now. ECU again heading back to the Military Bowl, second straight year. 11 a.m. kickoff in Annapolis on December 27th against the Pittsburgh Panthers. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. We got intern Isaiah hanging out as well. Kenny Curling says, not excited about the destination, weather, and time, but it's not all about me. So go Pirates, beat Pittsburgh. Brooks Hill says, Steven, good tweets on Saturday night. I don't remember what I tweeted, but thank you, Brooks. And Brennan says 11 a.m. start time stinks, but good opponent. I can't complain. What do we think about 11 a.m. start? Me personally, I mean, as a writer who has to cover the game, and I'm kind of in get in, get out mode of Annapolis after last year where I spent some time there, I love it. Get the game done early. I get to drive home that day. Philip, how do you feel about 11 a.m. football games?
It's going to be a early 8 a.m. pregame show. I need to text Joey Football and make sure he's available. But it will be nice, man. We're going to be out of here, out of the studio. Me and Isaac will be out of the studio by 3:30, 4 o'clock. I get to go home, enjoy my Saturday. I'm sure there'll be other great football games on.
Yeah, that's what I was just about
hang out.
I
was texting Zoki last night. There's a chance the Panthers game gets moved up to Saturday that week against Seattle. We're praying they don't, but if they don't, I'll go drive to Charlotte to go to the Panthers game the next day. Or in a perfect world, they'll also could get moved up and play Saturday night at 8 o'clock, which probably won't happen. It'll probably be like the 1 o'clock game. But if they play at 8, I can still make it to Bank of America Stadium in time. Just saying.
Who are they playing?
Seattle.
So that would be a big game.
Yeah.
Playoff implications.
Playoff implications, yeah. I mean, so right now there's 5 games that can get moved up. 3 of them are going to get moved up, and 2 of the 5 are definitely not getting moved up. There's bad teams.
Yeah.
So
on that Saturday, if you're wondering what ECU could be up against from a TV ratings perspective, you do have Pittsburgh ECU. This is the first game of the day on the 27th, 11 a.m., 12 noon on ABC. Penn State, Clemson in the Pinstripe Bowl. UConn Army in the Fenway Bowl at 2:15. You also have Georgia Tech, BYU in the Pop-Tarts Bowl that Notre Dame opted out of. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl will feature Miami of Ohio and Fresno State on the CW. Man, can't wait for that. North Texas, San Diego State in the New Mexico Bowl. Congratulations, North Texas, on your best season ever. You're going to New Mexico. Congrats on that. Virginia, Missouri going to the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. And then LSU, Houston in the Texas Bowl. Willie Fritz taking on the Tigers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 bowl games on that day, Philip. ECU, Pittsburgh kicking it off. So I feel like you've got a decent ratings chance there. ESPN, 11 a.m. on a Saturday. If you're just looking for something to watch post-Christmas, seems like a decent TV spot.
Yeah, like I said, it'll come down to if there's a 1 o'clock NFL game, who that is. Could hurt you. I haven't looked at the college basketball slate, but it should be pretty weak. No, it looks good. I mean, you're the only game when you will be done before 3:30, which means you will be the only game actually being played in a football stadium at the time you're on. Unless you just really enjoy watching football in a baseball stadium and that's your thing, which, hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Because the only 2 games they'll be competing with it are played at Fenway and Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, so it should be a solid TV spot. Not sure what the crowd will look like. Pittsburgh's around a 4-hour drive. Greenville to D.C., 4.5, 5-ish hours. A lot of fans went there last year. 23,000 was attendance for ECU NC State. I would think more closer to 20,000. I just don't see ECU bringing as many people as they did last year. I think it'll be a solid crowd. But, I don't know. Early start time. Dan in the comments says 7 a.m. mimosas and Jell-O shots at the tailgate lot. What is there to complain about? That's the attitude we need right there.
That is the attitude of a Pirate fan right there. Good job, Dan.
Hunter says 11 a.m. stinks. That is a horrible time. He will not be participating in 7 a.m. mimosas, it seems like. I'll end up watching it after it's been played. It doesn't give you time to get anything done before the game. Hunter, what are you going to be doing at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, it's not time to do yard work. I guess the only argument is you're taking down your Christmas lights. I do understand that this is the Saturday after Christmas. A lot of people like to take down their Christmas lights that day. But the game will be over by 2:30, and then you can take the Christmas lights down in the afternoon, and it's probably going to be warmer at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon than it will be at 10 o'clock in the morning when you were originally planning to take down your Christmas lights. So there you go. I just fixed your problem.
There is your fix, and unless he's got family stuff going on or something, I don't know. It's just
but if you went to ECU, I think your family understands.
Yeah.
We'll be watching some football during the holiday stuff.
At least tune in for the second half if it's a good game. So I don't know, Hunter. Find a way to make it work, man. Lane Smith says bourbon, jacket, prime rib, and a good old fashioned ECU whooping. I couldn't say the other.
Rear end whooping.
Yeah. So Lane is in for some 11 a.m. football as well. Man, I'm telling you, as we get closer, I think we'll be more fired up. specifically if we know all of ECU's players are playing in the game. I think that's the hold up. Hunter says he's going hunting.
Oh,
look,
that
man,
makes sense.
I get it. I respect it. I'm not the hunting type, but I think if you really want to watch the Pirates, man, take one day off of hunting.
So here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from, Hunter, but the one thing I want to remind you is this. We came on this show and said if Navy goes to the Liberty Bowl, then ECU's going to Annapolis. So you didn't just find this out Sunday. I mean, officially you did, but you knew this was a possibility. Like, this wasn't like shocking news. So I know it sucks. I do get it. That's your thing. But it at least was like not total. It's not like, oh my goodness, surprise. We're playing at 11 a.m. on whatever day it is.
Jansen Kid says, I didn't take Pittsburgh to be a holier-than-thou, high-horse riding type of fan base, but here we are, truly an ACC school. Yeah, a lot of upset Pittsburgh fans on their message board, Panther Layer on 24/7 Sports. They basically want to opt out of the game. And so you got to look at it from their perspective. It was rumored at one point they were going to go to the Pinstripe Bowl to face Penn State. So, like, imagine it from their perspective. They're thinking, all right, we might face Penn State. Obviously, big game for them, in-state game, and now they're facing East Carolina in the Military Bowl.
Penn State can have any players?
Yeah, I don't know, but still, the brand, it would be a big deal to them.
That would.
And so they see it from that perspective. So I get it; it's disappointing, but hey, it's all the more reason to lay it on them on the 27th.
Exactly. Also, Jansen, Jags money line got me some dough over the weekend.
Sir.
Thank you, appreciate
they crushed
that.
Them.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones injury. I think even if he played, they weren't going to win that.
They
game.
were up big when he got hurt. Just
Correct.
saying. I had faith in Jansen's Jags. Anyways, but yes, all the more reason, like you said, to put it on them and let's eat. You know what, Pitt, as the West Virginia fans say.
I've already been sent that graphic a few times. I will not be tweeting it out, but some of my fellow Pirate brethren that I went to school with and that are Pirate fans have sent it to me. So expect to see it. And, yeah, look, again, 19 days out. I'm sure between now and the 27th, something will be said that's offensive to either Pittsburgh fans or ECU fans by ECU personnel or by Pittsburgh personnel, and that will give us even more reason to get amped up for the game. All right, a few more comments here. We'll get a break in. These are kind of unrelated to the bowl game, but wanted to address them. Rohan says, question about early signing day timeline. How many of our early signees are expected to enroll this spring? I kind of feel like only players who will join in January should be allowed to sign early. Fair question, Rohan. 18 signees for ECU. 17 are projected to enroll early. 17. So you're almost adding like a fifth of your football team in spring. A couple JUCOs, 15 freshmen. That's if everything goes according to plan, paperwork, all that. But basically the entire class will be enrolling early except for one guy. So that is the plan as of now. All right, let's get our break in. We'll come back. We'll talk about the college football playoff reveal, and we'll give our thoughts on that, Notre Dame opting out, all that stuff. We'll have more on that discussion after this. This is Hoist the Colors.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Welcome back in, Hoist the Colors, segment 3 here on a Reaction Monday. We talked a lot about ECU. Going back to the Military Bowl, second straight year. We'll get more into that game, Pittsburgh, all that stuff as we get closer. We have 19 days to break it down. Let's look at the college football playoff bracket being revealed. We'll also talk about some other bowl games potentially as well if we have time. The field was unveiled, as ESPN often does. They dragged it out on Sunday at 12 noon. I watched it painfully just to see what the results were going to be. James Madison and Tulane get in. Ole Miss will host Tulane in a rematch of earlier this season. Oregon will host James Madison. Tough matchup for the Dukes having to travel to Autzen Stadium. Alabama and Oklahoma in the 9-8 game, and then Miami gets in over Notre Dame in the 10-7 game. Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech with the buys. So the obvious controversy, Miami jumping Notre Dame. You know, I have no problem with Miami in over Notre Dame by itself. Now, like, the process of it all just doesn't make much sense to me. The entire time Miami is ranked behind Notre Dame. Why do we have to wait until they're ranked side by side to do the comparison of Miami Notre Dame? Like, it's almost just like we're just making it up as we go along. So I don't know. This again to me is further confirmation that any rankings before the actual final CFP rankings don't really matter. And also my biggest other question is, why does Alabama not get punished at all for losing the SEC championship game, but yet BYU does for losing the Big 12 title game, and other conference championship games have had seemingly, negative impacts as well. So,
no, BYU was already on the outside looking in.
But they even, they dropped, whereas Alabama did not. I guess you could make the argument Alabama already beat Georgia once. So that's probably the difference. But still, it's like they just pick and choose. This is the problem with having a human committee do this.
Yeah, no, you're right. So there's two issues. So first off, everybody's saying, oh, we didn't talk about Notre Dame and Miami, so they're right next to each other. That's crap, okay? If Duke would have lost that game and Virginia would have won and the ACC had Virginia in, we're not having this conversation right now. They were not going to flip them from neither team playing the last week. They just saw the ACC wasn't going to get a team. It was going to cost them tens of millions of dollars, so they did it. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, 100%.
Secondly, if the College Football Playoff Committee doesn't want to catch all this flack, look, the first team left out's always mad. The 65th baseball team's ticked off. The 69th basketball team is ticked off, but not to the level of this. And there's not as much public ridicule. Don't put out rankings for the past 7 darn weeks where we know that you think, just let the AP do it the same way they do in basketball, and then the committee shows up on Selection Sunday and goes, okay, here's our field. And then you wouldn't be catching this flack. Why the heck have you been doing this junk since early November? Yeah, I know. It's a made-for-TV event crap. Like, you're digging yourself a hole. And again, like I said, I think if Virginia beats Duke, we're not even having this conversation right now.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it's not, we didn't take a look at them. No, you took a good look at them.
They just wanted an ACC team.
But that's the thing. If that was going to happen, the second that Cal beat SMU, why didn't you flip them then? You did it where you moved Bama up, right? Because when they said like, BYU wins, we can't drop Texas Tech from 4 to out of this thing. Number 10's going to get hosed. Let's go ahead and bump Bama up. You cheated there, so go ahead and cheat on this too and put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. But instead, and then of course you get on ESPN, and I'm not mad at the guys because they're just doing what they're told, but because it's a corporation, they have to be corporate sellouts, and they can't go on there and say what we're saying right now. Perks to working for a small company where Henry doesn't tell us what we can and can't say on here. Because Herb Street's like, oh my goodness, I guess they just didn't have time to take a full look at that. Yeah, shut up, Herb Street, corporate sellout dork.
I genuinely like Herb Street, but yeah, some of the stuff.
I do too, except for that.
And Saban whining about the G5s getting in.
And then Fowler trying to say, this is the hardest decision that's ever been made. No, the year that it was the last of 4 where Florida State was undefeated and Georgia was undefeated until the last game of the season, through the end of the season, and then they lost conference championship. That was the hardest decisions the committee ever made. And Fowler's like, oh my goodness, I would hate to be in that room. Shut up.
Everybody just wants to be a prisoner of the moment when it comes to making those types of statements. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fix is. I think that this will lead to them expanding it more. We asked John Gilbert today. He does not think the Group of 5 will be shut out of the playoff, and I agree with him. I think you always have a path for one. I just think this was a unique, weird year where the ACC stunk, and that allowed the G5 to get an extra team in. And, if people have a problem with that, be mad at the ACC. It is the ACC's fault that Clemson and Florida State were horrendous despite having every financial advantage in the world. They let the conference down. Miami, honestly, is almost a best-case scenario because if Duke or Virginia would have gotten in, realistically, they probably don't have a chance of winning a CFP game. Miami actually has a chance of making a run. They're the most talented team, so it kind of worked out best-case scenario for the ACC. But I just hate that everybody's immediately saying, oh, we can't let the Group of 5 get in. These games are going to be blowouts. I mean, did anybody watch the first round last year? Every game was a blowout as well then. Power 4 versus Power 4. This is not a Group of 5 problem. And again, if you want to hurt the sport and hurt half the teams in college football, then you can limit the Group of 5. I know Davy Jones was saying the G5 needs its own playoff. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all because to me, you're just I get it. Realistically, teams like East Carolina, Tulane, James Madison are outmanned, but still, don't you want to play for the right to go to the playoff and have that chance? I mean, I don't think any competitor wants to just say, yeah, we'll take the lesser playoff. To me, that's just lame, man. That's a loser mentality.
Steven, FCS, you win your conference, you go to the playoffs. D2, you win your conference, go to the playoffs. College basketball, you win your conference, go to the playoffs. Baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, every sport, every conference champion. Yes, there are blowouts. How many times have we watched a number 1 seed play a 16 seed and beat them by 70? It happens every year. But you know what? Bradley or Lipscomb gets a chance. Everybody deserves it. You win your conference, you get a chance. Make it 24 teams. Just like the FCS, that's how they've got it, 24 teams. Give the top 8 a bye. All 10, because it's going to be 10 conferences next year. 10 conference champions get in. Now, no automatic, hey, if you win your conference, you at least get this seed or anything like that. Just let them fall where they may. Same thing basketball does. You got all the mid-majors just happen to fall at the end. But if you're in a mid-major and you have a really good season, you can be higher than that, 12 line. Think of the year that Loyola Chicago made the Final Four. They were a 9 seed that year because they had a good enough year. They earned their way up. They didn't have to play a blue blood in the first round. Just do it the way that every other NCAA sport does it. And when you do it this way, I don't want to hear freaking SEC complaining that Georgia Southern or whoever gets in because when their Tennessee was the first team out. Because when the 69th team gets left out of basketball, they complain that the last team that got into like Dayton in the first four got in over them, but they don't complain that Northwestern State got in because Northwestern State won their conference. Nobody's mad about it. Why can't college football be the same?
Last year, we had 12th-seeded Clemson go to Texas. It was a 2-touchdown game, but they got smacked. SMU, 11th seed, got smacked by Penn State. Notre Dame smacked Indiana. Ohio State smacked Tennessee. That was your first-round matchup. Guess what? All Power 4 versus Power 4. All blowouts, uncompetitive games. So, like, to me, yeah, Tulane's a huge dog against Ole Miss. Yeah, James Madison's a huge dog to Oregon. Will they probably lose by multiple scores? Probably. But you could put Virginia there. You could put Duke there, and you'd probably have the same result. So, I don't know. I just think this is kind of how it is. We saw blowouts in the 4-team playoff all the time. It's just, I don't know, for football, that just seems to be kind of the consistent thing we've seen in the CFP, no matter how many teams are in. I do wonder, there's definitely going to be expansion. We'll kind of group this in with our John Gilbert discussion. So John Gilbert was asked at today's press conference what changes need to be made. He did say he thinks there will be expansion. He did not say how many. He also said he thinks Group of 5 teams will be included, or at least one, in the mix. And he also said he would like to see the portal move to March and spring football done away with, which I've heard a lot of coaches pushing for this. Get rid of spring football, basically turn it into NFL-style OTAs in the spring, then your summer training, and then your true training camp, and then the season. You don't need spring football. So if you did that, you would bring value back to the postseason. Then you would reevaluate it, basically be like free agency in March in the NFL. I'm a huge fan of this. And if it goes to that model, then essentially I see it eventually probably going to a deeper playoff where I don't know if every conference champion will be included, but I think you'll see less bowl games and more teams in the playoffs. So I almost feel like we're just going for mini NFL at this point, which is fine by me.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think it's a good way to go about it. I think the worry is, and part of the reason this hasn't happened yet, is they like to have the young men in their conditioning in the spring. Whereas, when you look at the NFL level, you've got time to condition on your own. You don't have anything else to do during the spring months. You're not going to class. When you look at the high school level, there is spring football in May, but, February, March, April, you're told that you have to go to track practice. Whether you actually running meets or not, they pretty much say unless you're good enough to make the golf or the baseball team, like you've got to go condition at track practice. So there's that too, to stay in shape. So I think that's maybe part of the reason that we've always had spring football, and some of the stuff they do is to keep the student athletes in shape. But yeah, if they're going to be wanting to opt out of games, like you reap what you sow. Sorry, athletes, you're not going to get spring football, and you better condition on your own, because they're going to bust your rear end come June at those OTAs. But, I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, John hit the nail on the head today. This is what you got to do. And you're still going to have guys opt out of bowl games because they know they're entering the portal, right? It's the same thing, though, where a guy's team is eliminated from playoff contention and he's in a contract year and he kind of, hey, I don't, it happens in the NFL, but it's going to happen a lot less if you bump all this stuff back.
And it would just get rid of, as he said, like the gutting of each other right now. Everybody's trying to take each other's players or coaches right now. And, yes, some of that may still be going on in the agency world, like, hey, let your representative know that that we're interested in having you or whatever, or talk to the representative, a team would, and let the player know. But like it would just we wouldn't have to talk about players entering the portal yet. We'd talk about the bowl games and the playoff. And like right now, there's just too many things happen at one time. And it really, if you're a coach, you can't even focus on bowl prep because you're too busy worried about retaining your coordinators or your coaches or your players. So I do think it would fix a lot of issues. Is it perfect? Probably not, but certainly better than what we're doing now. So I thought that was interesting, take by John, and I've heard other in the industry talk about it as well. Of course, they moved the portal this year to January 2nd through the 16th, which creates almost a hectic window to try to get guys in mid-year. So it's is still not a great solution, although maybe slightly better, but still a lot of issues with it. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We got a lot of questions about what do we think about Notre Dame opting out of the bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, how that could impact bowl games down the line. So we'll address that and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hurry to Greenville Toyota for model year-end savings on a Camry. Just $229 a month. $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month. $279 a month. Only during our model year-end move-out. Right now at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
It's Greenville Toyota's model year-end move-out. Save on a new Corolla, just $149 a month. $149 a month. Or new Tacoma, $249 a month. $249 a month. Now get a move-out.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday, Reaction Monday final segment here. And we are back talking about ECU heading back to the Military Bowl for the second consecutive year. Picked to play in the Military Bowl for the, fourth time in 5 years, or third time in 5 years, I should say. The 2021 game against Boston College never happened due to COVID-19, and ECU heading back again to Annapolis. All right, a lot of talk in the comments today. Appreciate everybody tuning in about Notre Dame opting out of the bowl game. They were going to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl to take on BYU, which, by the way, opting out of any bowl game is controversial. But if you're going to opt out of a bowl game, you can't opt out of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, man. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, I mean, you get to eat a giant live Pop-Tart mascot, and you're going to say you don't want to play in that game? Incredible, man. So I was already not a fan of the decision. Then I heard that. I was even more ticked off.
Eating a giant live Pop-Tart live on national television is what makes America the greatest country in the world.
People can hate on bowl games, but that has got to be the best thing about any bowl game outside of the Duke's Mayo.
Dumping. Yeah. Of course, if I'm a coach, man, send me to the Cheez-It Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I'll happily get some Cheez-Its dumped on my head.
That's
but
true.
I ain't the coach, so I wanted to go. That's the biggest reason I want to go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. You and I were texting about it. It's like, please let Blake get Mayo dumped on his head.
That would be hilarious, man. And so, hey, we get to see 5-7 Mississippi State in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Can't wait for that. They really
I will
deserve
say,
it.
man, they had a gauntlet of a schedule, and they were in almost every game. I'm proud of the Bulldogs this year. They played well, man. They had a tough schedule. They turned it around.
You want to go to Charlotte and get your own cowbell?
Nah, I think I'm going to the Canes game Saturday night with Wags. So I don't really want to drive Friday to the Duke's Mayo Bowl to turn around and drive back to Raleigh.
That's fair.
So,
You were just there. Which, by the way,
I'm going there for Christmas and my sister's birthday next week. I got a lot of trips to Charlotte coming up.
And that's not a fun drive. How was the atmosphere? You were there for the ACC championship game. It looked kind of meh on TV. How was it?
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah. There was a lot of Virginia fans there. The Virginia fans, especially in the upper deck on the Virginia sideline, man, it was almost full up there. There was a lot of UVA fans. They were passionate. But yeah, it still wasn't great energy. I'd seen better energy in this game before, but
you got to see a fun game at least.
Got to see a fun game, yeah. And what we said on the show, man, they tried to give it to UVA, that phantom pass interference at the end. Also, the game-tying touchdown, the receiver took 3 steps out of bounds. The official even dropped his hat to signal the dude was out of bounds. He catches his touchdown, no flag, but we knew it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So credit to Duke for getting it done in overtime. I thought if it went to overtime, no way in hell Duke was going to win, but Duke tried to give it away. There's the penalty and then going out of bounds. Virginia should have had no timeouts left. Instead, they had 2 and a minute and a half to play because Duke mismanaged the clock. So if Duke would have lost, they can only point to themselves. But hey, they found a way. So it was cool. And Manny Diaz has won a conference championship game more recently than Miami. So in the ACC. So
and
there you go,
somehow Miami is still going to the playoff. ACC going to ACC. All right, Notre Dame. What do we think of this? I mean, my take is I get it. I understand why, but I think it's incredibly lame. If you're a senior on that team, you thought you were going to the playoff. Maybe their seniors voted to not play in the game, but to think you're going to go to the playoff and then to just not play ever again in college football, maybe ever football ever again, is seems to be a slap in the face. Also, this is just reeks of Notre Dame thinking they're the biggest thing above the college football landscape, that they're just at their own division, and they've thought this way for years. That's why they won't join the conference. That's why they have their own TV contract. Obviously, they got the Notre Dame brand. Kudos to them for that. But to me, this is just another disgusting part about college football, that everybody, it's all about greed, self-worth, and just everybody just, instead of looking out for the betterment of the game, trying to improve the postseason as a whole, they're just going to take their ball and go home and whine about it. I don't know. It really rubs me the wrong way.
So, yeah, look, here's the thing. The reason they're doing it is because they got host. We all know that. I mean, I don't think they should have been in, but because they were ranked ahead of Miami going in it, they got host. And they know they are a national brand, and they bring in a huge TV audience, and ESPN controls the bowl game. So this is their middle finger to ESPN, which is, I know they're not technically the college football playoff committee, but it's all in cahoots. We talked about it earlier.
ESPN's a big part of the problem.
Yeah, it is. That was their middle finger to ESPN, which, whatever. If you want to stick it to ESPN, look, ESPN probably deserves it. With that being said, there is a human aspect to this, Steven. You brought it up, those seniors. It goes back to, and I'm not trying to get too in the political weeds, but telling kids they can never play sports again because of COVID and not giving the student athletes the option. And it comes down to this, those seniors do deserve a right to play one final time. This is their last chance to ever play the game they love, the game they've dedicated their life to, and they deserve to go out there and get a shot to know that it's their last game. Most people do know when it's your last game. You might not know going in, might not be till you lose. Now there are that, hey, will we get into the playoffs? Oh, we didn't get in kind of thing, but that happens occasionally. But overall, usually in college, if you win 6, you're getting a bowl game. If you lose that 7th game, the 12th game of the season is going to be your last ever game, and that's how it should be. Every young man or old man, if he's good enough to play in the NFL, deserves that opportunity to go out and know it's his final game, barring some, freak injury. Injuries happen. It's just is what it is, but it's not fair to these student athletes.
Dan says now the Notre Dame athletic director is complaining about the ACC doing, quote, irreparable damage to their relationship because the ACC promoted their own member to make the playoff.
Join the ACC then?
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, all the more reason to join a conference. I mean, I don't know. Somebody says, do we think this will make Notre Dame join a conference? No, I think they'll be even more selfish and be like, this should never happen to us. We're definitely not joining a conference now.
Yeah, I get what whoever asked that. I get what you're saying because that's the logical way of thinking. But Steven's right in the fact they're proven by opting out of the bowl game. I think if they played the bowl game, maybe they would join a conference. But now they're private from the bowl game. No, they can't do that and then join a conference. Like, no, you've made your bed. You got to lay in it now. You're going to be. You think you're holier than thou. You got to ride it till the end.
Yeah, the whole Notre Dame. I've had some family members that pull for Notre Dame and some friends and like
Bobby.
It's a cool brand, but their mentality bothers me. So I don't know. By the way, the last national championship for this great program, 1988. So maybe if they joined the conference, they would have won one more recently. But it is what it is. I do like Marcus Freeman, and
he's a great coach.
Great coach. So I do think it'll impact the CFP field long term. We'll get more into that as the week progresses. I already think it was heading towards expansion. Now I think this will lend itself to more expansion, probably to 16, but we'll get more into that discussion as they're supposed to make a decision, I think sometime in January now. They postponed it. So that's happening. It'll be an interesting offseason. How does the calendar continue to change? We'll get more into these big picture discussions as we move further into the offseason as well. And we'll continue to break down ECU and Pittsburgh. That's what's in front of us. We're going to be where our feet are and talk Panthers, Pirates as well. We'll have Mark Miller on at some point. I'm going to get him on to break down Pittsburgh. Also talk to a Pittsburgh writer as well in the coming weeks. So going to be a fun couple of weeks. Bowl talk, playoff talk, NFL playoffs heating up as well, and a whole lot more. We'll continue to update you on ECU's OC situation as well, players playing in the bowl game, hopefully everybody, and more. We're out of time today. We'll be back Tuesday, 12 noon. We'll see you then. Appreciate Philip and everybody for tuning in.